for you to cooperate with the agency. They do have this evaluated as unsatisfactory because it says that because of the issues with the threats, arguing with the agency.
Threats? What threats? What threats are they talking about?
It says that you have publicly threatened the caseworker and officials,
That's
accusing them of sex trafficking your children.
I didn't say sex trafficking. I said trafficking because they fraudulently took my children under false accusations that they have absolutely no proof of because my words were completely twisted and everybody knew that and threats to expose them for stealing my children, it's not a threat. I'm not threatening anyone's harm. I'm not threatening harm on anybody. So those are fraudulent accusations.
Okay.
And I wrote a letter to to Paula Graves, the supervisor, and requested that Peggy was removed from the case because she was lying in a lot of this paperwork. And lying in emails. Like, I have emails of her lying to me, and it's not okay to be lying to, if they're claiming I'm mental, why would you be doing that to a mental mother? Like, I'm not mental. So, like, I'm just curious. Like, that's a problem. And why it wasn't addressed back in September when I wrote the letter to Paula.
Okay. Yeah, I can't speak to. So I think that those would be things, again, if you would like to document your concerns about those things and contact the advocacy office, you can do that, because I don't have any
there's no talking to her about why. Do you not talk to her about that kind of stuff?
Well, I will mention and that you have concerns about the accuracy of what's reported in your service plan and throughout the case. I will also document that you have report that you have requested a new caseworker.
Yes.
But I don't have the authority to make those decisions.
Okay.
Is what I'm saying.
Just the confronting on it is really probably one of the first steps, of correcting the situation. So that's kind of, I appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, and again, Jessica, I want to be real clear about my role. I hear you. I hear your concerns.
Yeah.
But I'm not necessarily the person that can implement the changes that you may want to see. So
right.
I don't want you to feel like I told that lady Alisha all this stuff and nothing's changed. I'm not the judge.
Right.
I'm not Peggy, or you understand what I'm saying?
I completely 100% understand what you're saying, and I appreciate you just even, mentioning this stuff to her, because that, like I said, it's just, it's okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. No, you're welcome. And what I would say is, I try to make sure every parent and every foster parent and every kid that I have contact with in this system understands that they have rights to disagree and to appeal, but we have to do it appropriately, because this is very difficult, and it does make you angry, and it does make you frustrated, and it's easy to, flip off.
I appreciate that. I can hear it in your voice that you're being sincere. So I appreciate that.
You are welcome. But the thing I want to really encourage you to do, Jessica, really is, if you're going to file an appeal, if you're going to have your disagreements heard, just do it in the appropriate venue, such as through the appeal process, the advocacy office, documenting your concerns and getting those things before the court through your attorney. I know you've had some issues with your attorney, so that may be something you have to address in court.
Right. I mean, they literally told me I should not appeal because it was going to prolong me getting my children back. And when I talked to my public defender about appealing, she told me that I had to go to the courthouse and do it myself. And, I'm not very knowledgeable with this stuff. I'm just learning this stuff. And they were just kind of pushing me in a circle. So it was been a little difficult. And I would think any mother would be a little frustrated.
Sure. And let me say this, Jessica. The appeal thing can be kind of confusing too. There's a difference between appealing the fact that your children are in foster care. That's one appeal versus appealing your services. What I'm talking about is appealing the services, and that's the number I gave you. I can't change, and the administrative law judge is not going to touch an appeal on why your kids are in care because the court has already made a decision about that part.
Well, that's the thing. They've kind of tricked me into not knowing this. So, I mean, that's more of a lawsuit then, right?
Yeah. I cannot give you legal advice.
Right. I mean, I know it is. It's okay. You know Thank you.
Yeah. So I know you're welcome. So when I'm talking to you about appealing, I'm talking about service appeal in terms of the service provision for you and your children.
Okay.
That's what I'm talking about. So I need to clarify that, and I'm sorry I wasn't clear about that initially. Okay, so the next suggestion for you is to sign your necessary releases of information, and she does have you evaluated as satisfactory for that because you did sign releases of information to your advocate and to Tazwood Mental Health Center. So that is evaluated as satisfactory.
So I'm curious why that evaluation wasn't used in court because she didn't take that with her to court. So somehow they were saying that I was unfit because I didn't take this mental evaluation that Family Court referred me to. So there's again another sabotage where she didn't take that information in there with her.
Are you talking about the psychological, or are you talking about a mental health assessment from Tazwood?
I'm talking about they told me that I was taking a mental evaluation at Tazwood. And she told me to call that number, and that's what I did. And she never took it to court with her the first time. Yes, I did, ma'am.
Okay.
I have paperwork on that. She didn't take it to court. She said that I didn't do it.
Okay. All right. We need to get that to the agency. I'm going to ask Sheila to follow up with you on some of these things.
Yeah,
okay?
It also says in the paperwork that I showed up 20 minutes late for court, okay, June 30th. And one of the things says I was present, and the other thing says I wasn't present. So there's faulty stuff on that, like they're saying I was there, but I really wasn't, and that I agreed to this and this, Like I don't want the judge to think that this is true when they're lying to him or they're messing up on paperwork. It's one of the two.
So I don't know. I'm not sure what the circumstance was around you being late to court, but
Right, I'm not even going there with the complaint because
okay. Please don't be late to court because
right, my dogs unplugged my phone, my alarm didn't go off, so I was lucky to even wake up 10 minutes. But we're not going there because that was my problem.
Well, I was saying, of course, because dogs are ornery and sometimes they cause problems for us.
Yeah, it happens.
Okay, so the next thing is parenting, and this is also evaluated as unsatisfactory.
What? This is new to me because they never told me I needed parenting classes. They told me I didn't need parenting classes.
That's not what this is saying is this would be for you to demonstrate appropriate parenting skills through visitation, and that's what's unsatisfactory. They're saying that the evaluation says that because the visits were suspended, because of some of the negative interactions, making accusations against Michaela's caregiver.
She was coming in with bruises on her. She came into a visit, okay? She had a giant bruise on her face, and she was trying to cover it up with her hoodie. And I saw it, peeking out of the mask. So, being a concerned mother, and, I took picture, and I was asking her questions. I would think that the supervisor sitting there with the visit would have been asking questions and taking a picture as well, and letting the caseworker know immediately. And I had to be we need to let somebody know about this. And then my son told me when he walked her back to her grandmother's vehicle that the grandmother had a black eye. Okay, so they're both coming in to the agency with bruises on their faces. Okay, so obviously that's a kind of a red flag to any mother, you know. And then the very next visit, on the next Friday, Michaela had these marks on the back of her neck, these more bruises that look like a rope, kind of like a thin rope or a string or a type of wire, and it went all the way across her neck. So again, I videotaped that because, you know, there didn't seem like they were even caring. And there's a registered sex offender that, you know, is involved in this case that is, you know, who just got charged not that long ago with assault charges, with battery charges against a woman. So, you know, I would think any concerned mother or any mother seeing her daughter having bruises on her like that, and then her hair being chopped off, like that's a valid concern. And I think I have a right to question my child and be a little concerned. That's, you know, I have 1 hour of visits a week, and my children are seeming to have issues in the homes as well. You know, my daughter was sexually, like, touched, my 10-year-old, by the one caregiver's child, and she was left there for 2 weeks, a little, maybe even more. And they put my daughter in an apartment next door to the one foster parent's house to give her her living room back, and making my daughter pay for it. Totally different address, totally different bills, utility bills. And then to find out my son is sleeping next to